Well, hello, friends, neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here. Welcome down the Nook, and happy National Bourbon Day. It's a great day to be a whiskey lover because it's a great day to look for a cool bourbon, crack it open, and just relax. If you're a long-time viewer of the channel, you're probably not surprised that I'm going to talk about Booker's because I can get it for a good price up here, and I like the profile. So, this has come out a little while ago, new to me, but this is the 2021-01 or the Donahoe batch. So if you have the Donahoe batch or any Bookers, I'm going to talk about this. I'll compare it to, I've got a bit of Granny's batch left and some Stagg Junior batch 12. So when you pour a big bowl bourbon and when you come back, I'll share some thoughts on bourbon and specifically Booker's Donahoe batch. 3, 4. Thanks for staying with me through the opener, and it is a good day to look for a bourbon. If you haven't got one recently, buy something new, something fun, and maybe I can inspire that. If you've never had Booker's, why don't we talk a bit about that? So, as I said in the opener, this is Booker's the 2021-01 release. Now, I'm up in Canada, and we only get one Booker's release a year, and it's the first one. So this is named after, I think it was Booker No's friend, Donahoe. It looked a bit like Donahoe, but I think it's Donahoe. So, it's a nod to his friend and the work that he did with him. And I'll put the details down below in terms of what warehouse it's mostly from. It's, I think, 6 years, 11 months, 62.65%. And I think this one has a lot of Warehouse Z in it, but it's kind of cool that I can show you all the details. And then, as I said, I'll taste a little bit against Granny's and then a little bit against Stagg Junior, mostly because I've been in Scotchland lately and it's nice to come back to some bourbon, especially on National Bourbon Day. So this is Booker's Nose Taste, and I'll give you my thoughts. It's a bold, spicy bourbon. There's lots of caramel. There's lots of cinnamon. There is a little bit of nut, that characteristic Booker's nut in there. It doesn't overwhelm me. I know it's there, but this one to me is a little bit more fruity. Yeah, I would say I've even got some thicker fruits in there, little chopped up raisins, and maybe a little bit of cherry. Doesn't scream cherry, but there's some fruits in here that isn't always the first thing that I get in Booker's. Booker's usually the first thing is that the spice, caramel, and peanut is kind of hitting me. But right now, this has got a little different story. Yeah, some cooked apple. It's hot at 63%-ish kind of thing. It's certainly present. Let's try it on the palate. Cheers. In the palate, I'm getting more of that roasted nuts, roasted peanuts, cooked peanut brittle, mixed in with, now I'd definitely say more apple and cherry, less fig and raisin, although there was some of that in the nose. Beautiful cooked brown sugars, spices, cinnamons, just nicely thick and coating in the mouth. You can tell probably changed the pitch of my voice. It just really coated the mouth. And there's a fair amount of oak here. Sometimes Booker's can be bitter oak for me, even though I still love the way they put it together. This one is not that. It's a good bourbon, and it continues to have a little now in the after or the finish. It's got a little more. What is that? Thicker fig fruit note moving around in with the spices and cinnamons and all the goodness that is Booker's. I'm blessed that even though I only get one release instead of 3 or 4 or however many they decide to go, here I only get the one, but my pricing is still reasonable. I do not know why, but I continue to be able to get Booker's for just an excellent buy, which I know is not the case in most markets. So for me, if you're up in Canada, if you're in Alberta, this is an absolute recommended try. Now it's bold and spicy and woody, and there's still some of those. This nut is a bit different, like a Brazil nut. It's just a little different. But all of that taken into consideration, it's a great bourbon. I love Booker's. I absolutely have to give this, if I'm starring it, let's say around four stars, a hair over, just because I love it. Now I want to shoot just quickly before I run out of Granny's batch. This came out in 2020-01. Very similar age, I think. Yeah, 6 years, 4 months, 63.2%. This one, I'll put the details down below, but was a little more balanced across several warehouses. Whereas, the Donahoe's batch had almost half of it was out of warehouse Z, or Z. But here, this one, and I'll put it down below, but I remember it just in general being like, oh, there's 20% here, 20 some percent there. So pretty balanced across warehouses. Giving it nose and taste and see in contrast what I get. And in contrast, I was alluding to it, but it absolutely delivered. This is peanut brittle, roasted peanuts, salted peanuts. There's still some other goodness, some toffee in there, some vanilla actually. So a little bit aromatic vanilla, but a lot of nut. And in contrast, I'm going to stay with what I said. There's some fruit cooked, like some cooked fruits in here, like almost like a raisin fig, which is pretty thick, but some fruiting and dark fruiting in there. Let's try Grandy's on the palate. Cheers. Well, that's tasty for my palate. Yes, all of that nut, but it is a sweeter cooked sugar. It is more like that peanut brittle or sponge toffee. You ever had that sponge toffee from the candy store? Those big chunks. It's like that in your mouth. It's sticky, sweet, and that peanutty gives it a candy taste. It's missing some of the fruit elements that I got here, but I really like this. I could see those that are maybe put off by Booker's, that nut forward profile. This plays into that profile. So if you don't like it, I can't recommend Granny's. If you do, this is a nice, sweet, kind of like a candy treat. Whereas this one is almost feels a bit more mature, or a bit, as I said, a bit more fruit, a bit more oak. Interesting. I don't remember what the star value is. This for my palate. I still kind of like this one a little more, so I got to give it more. 4 1/4 kind of thing, but I definitely could see some people that don't like that peanut going this way. Okay, so coming off of the Booker show, that's not what this is. It's Happy National Bourbon Day. I do have a little bit of batch 12 from Stagg Jr. I mean, it's Stagg Jr. batch 12, and it's from a good friend through the channel, Andy, who often provides me with samples. So this one comes in at 66.15%, so it's a little bit higher. I really don't know the age. It's nice that the Booker's website's very clear in terms of warehouses. It's very clear in terms of age and percentage. I don't know the age of Stagg Jr. If you do, why don't you drop a comment? I'm going to guess it's somewhere around that 6-year mark. Just in contrast to the two families I've been smelling here, it is a little more aromatic, a little more vanilla, and a little bit more cinnamon heart candy. And a little bit more ethanol. It could be, this sample's been in bottle for a little while. Could have taken on some characteristic from it. I don't know. In this moment, the nose isn't as rich as I remember Stagg Jr. being. Try it on the palate. Cheers. Also in this sitting, again, could be on my sample. It's hotter, spicier, and it's running truer to that red candies are in my mind. I said cinnamon hearts on the nose, and now I'm thinking red crack candy apple, right? So that hard crack, you're biting it, you've got that nice sticky, sweet confectionery sugar, but there's a bit of apple and the juiciness from the apple going on. I don't know what it is. Maybe I need to go get a candy apple, but I've got more of that here. But could be my sample. The after, the finish, what I'm left with, what's going around, the oak is tending to be a little bit bitter, which I do not recall saying about Stagg Junior. So obviously, I'm always biased. It's just my thoughts. In this sitting, I'm leaning toward the Bookers. This Stagg Junior is still fantastic. Like really, any other day of the week, I can't imagine giving this great bourbon less than 4 stars. But I like both of these a bit more. Although I think the Granny's batch might put you off if you really don't like that much peanut presence in your bourbon. You know, thanks for joining me here. I just wanted to say hi and to drink a couple of good bourbons with you and just kick off the celebration, the national celebration for National Bourbon Day. Hope you guys have something good in your glass. Thank you for joining me. And in case my sister has watched all the way to the end of this video, happy birthday, sis. You guys take care.